Welcome to Pioneers in Payments, where payments experts share their insights. Now, here's our host, Donna Blum.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Pioneers in Payments. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Michael Young from Photon Commerce. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Donna. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm so glad you decided to join us today. We're looking forward to learning more about your organization and also, just getting some perspective from you on all that's happening in the payments industry today. So before we get started, though, Michael, would you mind sharing with our audience a little bit about yourself, your background in the payments industry, and then also what you do at Photon Commerce?
Of course. Thank you so much, Donna. I'm the founder and CEO of Photon Commerce. We're a fintech company based in San Francisco in the financial district. And we're helping a number of fintech leaders out there do instant payments as well as instant bill pay and document automation. A little bit about my background. I dropped out of the Stanford PhD program about a decade and a half ago and started my first business. We raised a Series A and then a Series B before I was about 24 years old. And then we had a successful acquisition into the supply chain of Apple into my later 20s. Then I started another company out of Stanford that was backed by and funded by Google AI. And there we were solving a big problem in the medical domain to catch diseases and even cancer from eye and retinal images.
Wow.
So we started collaborations with Luxottica and some of the largest eye care companies also in the world. And then COVID happened, and we came up with this thesis on how do we apply artificial intelligence to a domain that could affect any business or even any person on the planet. Since our vision is that AI is going to be totally transformative and define really our generation. We're seeing now with ChatGPT, there's basically a revolution that's happening in artificial general intelligence as well. So we found out that in the payments industry, there's a lot of areas that are very broken, and so we're very excited to have founded Photon Commerce in San Francisco to solve some of the largest pain points in payments when it comes to speed, automation, and manual processes.
Right. Well, data is absolutely so critical to be able to access and evaluate, and a lot of organizations don't really have a mechanism for tapping into all of that data right now. So it makes a lot of sense what you're doing. So I kind of ask the same questions of all of my guests, and I'd like to start off with talking about what you perceive to be the biggest trend in the payments industry today.
There's a lot of really exciting trends. I think the trend that we're most excited about is around instant payments, and we actually would generalize that concept to what we would call smart payments. So can payments not only be really, really fast, can they be fully digital? Can they talk to systems? Can they fit within collaboration flows in B2B systems, right? And then can they automate systems, for instance, like in bill pay, right? So we all know that, paying bills sucks, right? No one likes paying bills. Can we put bills fully on autopilot, right? So that people just don't need to worry about bill pay as well as invoicing. So we see a lot of exciting opportunities at the intersection of not just payments, but accounts payable and accounts receivable. So the act of sending out bills, right, and then also paying those bills is a pretty horrific process in most industries, especially in the United States. Super old school. The Federal Reserve says that 75% of all bills and invoices in the country are manually processed, manually paid.
Wow.
Super slow. The average time it takes to pay a bill right now is 34 to 35 days. So the average time basically to pay a bill is 5 days after the net 30 terms, which is really, really crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of exciting trends at the intersection of AP/AR, then AI, and then payments.
That's great. And everybody wants their money right away these days, right? So yeah, we're definitely moving in the right direction with tools like what you provide. So my next question is about what we're really trying to do is distill all that's happening in the industry today and leave payments professionals with some valuable nuggets of wisdom or best practices. So if you were speaking to a payments professional, what would you say is their top opportunity today?
That's a very interesting question. I think if we boil down a lot of the opportunities around payments, one interesting question is around checks. So a lot of folks may sort of think that, oh, checks, who still sends checks? But surprisingly, in B2B payments, 40% of all B2B payments is still cut over a paper check today in the US. And that problem is especially bad for small businesses, where it's actually over 75% of small business payments is still cut over a check. So I think that's a sort of low-hanging fruit, asking a business, how many checks are you still cutting? And then how many checks are you still receiving or depositing? And are there ways to streamline that process, adopt digital payments, and adopt AP and AR automation, right? So that you can put AP and AR basically on autopilot, so folks can focus more on higher priority items, higher value projects.
That's very good. Yeah, it is amazing how many checks are still used in the United States. I've heard people from other countries saying that they don't use checks at all anymore. So perhaps that's a direction that we're heading eventually. Certainly not.
That's right. In Europe, it's significantly less than 1% of
Yeah.
all payments is over a check. And yet in the US, it's 40%, right, in the B2B industry.
Wow.
Pretty surprising.
Yeah, we're certainly lagging in that regard. So that's the top opportunity, addressing the same audience, either payments professionals or organizations that process payments. What would you say is their biggest challenge?
I think there's a lot of these manual processes still surrounding these payment flows, right? So if someone is billing you, they may have their own sets of like portals or workflows or approval processes. If you are billing other folks or you are paying those bills, there's just a whole fragmentation of different systems. And there's extremely few companies that do both AP software as well as AR software. So we see that there's large fragmentation and also miscommunication between different AP and AR systems when it comes to paying other companies in the B2B landscape. So we see that in B2B, it just tends to lag behind B2C payments in terms of innovation and software and automation by, I think, well over a decade or two. In consumer payments, less than 1% of consumer payments in the US is still cut over a check, and it's 40%, in B2B. So it's kind of interesting to ask ourselves, why is that? And then how do we digitize, right, the check and digitize all the other payment flows around that, so that payments can not just be digital, but and not just faster, but be also instant, right? So ACH is already the next sort of step to digitize payments, but then ACH still takes like 1 to 3 days, right, to be delivered and settled. Why can't payments be fully instant, right? So within seconds, you can pay like a bill, right, as easily as you swipe your credit card at like Starbucks. So that's the trends and the vision that we're most excited about.
I would think most merchants would desire that as well, to have their funds instantaneously. Certainly helps with cash flow for their businesses. So it's exciting to know that that is the direction we're heading. So this last question is sort of to wrap everything up with a nice little bow. If you had to leave our audience with one silver bullet piece of advice, what would that be?
I would say really evaluate the flow funds and the payment workflows that a business may have, especially around invoicing and bill pay. So on the AR and AP side, and evaluate if there's any opportunities to streamline those processes, improve and speed up accounts receivable, right? And also automate your accounts payable. There's a lot of exciting opportunities there, especially around AI that can read, right, any remittance, any invoice, any check, any other financial document. Lots of exciting opportunities in that space.
That's great. Well, thank you, Michael, so much for all of your valuable insights. Before I let you go, though, I want to make sure that our audience knows how to learn more about Photon Commerce. Where can they go for more information?
Feel free to reach out. My email address is michael@photoncommerce.com. You can also reach out to our partnerships team, partnerships@photoncommerce.com. Check out our website as well. So happy to chat anytime.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I know our audience does as well. And I just want to thank everybody for watching today. Thank you.
Thank you.